In Vermont, there's nothing I don't put my bees next to, because there's nothing that I would consider bad for bees in Vermont. Yeah, except for bears. It was right next to a field of corn, close to 100-pound average on that yard per colony. We put second boxes on after we pulled all the honey boxes off, and they still went right to town on it. They drew a bunch of wax and filled up with a bunch of nectar, so that was very impressive. My name's Aiden. I'm a beekeeper at West Meadow Apiary, and we're a full-time business, and we run about 2,500 hives now, which is roughly an eighth of the bees in the state of Vermont. It's all honey. Those are some really healthy looking bees right there. I started with my dad at 7 years old, so I've been doing it for 16 years now. We're just doing a fall inspection right now, late fall inspection, just to see how they're doing. We have 272 colonies currently pollinating pumpkins over here in the Connecticut River Valley.
I'm Walt Gladstone from Newmont Farm, and we've been doing pumpkins for over 33 years. This bill, I believe it's called 706, is due to be enacted in 2029, where we won't be able to get treated seed, which is just devastating. I really believe it's going to have a negative effect on the bee population, because we'll probably actually end up doing more spraying. In recent years, though, we've had the opportunity to use treated pumpkin seeds, and when we weren't using treated pumpkin seeds, the most common problem was the striped cucumber beetle, and it was eating on the baby plants, and then we'd have to do an aerial spray, and of course the beekeepers then were very concerned. The beauty now is we have treated seed, and since we have used treated seed, we have not had to spray an insecticide for years.
There's no like balding, they'll have hair. You know, balding can indicate viruses. These bees are adequately nourished, have made plenty of white wax, as you can see. There's another sign of nourishment. So bees don't have a symbiotic relationship with corn, because corn doesn't produce nectar. So corn does produce pollen, and a bee can go and collect pollen from corn, but there's a lot of other flowers that are more on the bee's list of priorities, because the relationship between a pollinator and the plant it's pollinating is the bee goes and collects nectar. I can't go into a bee yard, even one that has issues, and say, oh, the corn did this to the bees. Like, I have no grounds to be able to do that, because let alone, it would be a complete assumption, and there's a lot of other factors that are more highly likely within the bee colony. Like mites. Mites is such a big problem. The bees grow throughout the summer, and they look like this in the fall to get in preparation for Georgia, and that's a healthy bee colony. An unhealthy bee colony would be something with a lot of spotty brood, high levels of mites, low amounts of food, and that's all affected by, you know, how well the bees are nourished. Nice little plump honey stomachs and abdomen. So, you know, a cluster that's about 10 frames worth of bees is kind of the objective goal in mid-October, and that will go to Georgia, and that will grow into a productive colony down there, and we actually multiply it and bring bees up here in the spring for Vermont beekeepers. The forests in Vermont don't produce any usable habitat for honeybees or most other native pollinators even, so they rely on open areas, and that's where we have a really symbiotic relationship with dairy farmers, because they keep a lot of the land open in the habitat the bees need. We keep our bees on private landowners' land, so we rely on other people's land to keep our bees. And you know, those connections are built just through word of mouth and giving out jars of honey and pollinating. We get to meet different people.
I've never had a beekeeper that I've worked with in all these 30 plus years that complained about treated seeds in my corn varieties. So it's just, for me, it goes against a bit of logic. I mean, we're standing on a 115-acre pumpkin field, and we've got 100 plus acres of corn within flight distance, and to the north, there's probably another 400 acres of corn. It's just amazing how we're all sort of working together. We overlap, you know. Here the bee guys are worried about their bees. Well, I'm absolutely just as worried about their bees, because Here we've got 300 acres of pumpkins, and there's all the apple and vegetable guys up and down the valley that want to protect their crops, and if they need to at times, they need to spray against insects. If we've got treated seed, we surely can try to use less spraying.